This is Maregaal, Ben Yaakov, and welcome to my YouTube channel, or if you're watching off of Facebook, welcome to my main wall. And today is May 22nd, Sunday, 2022, and the time is around 8:30 right now, and I'm in Hot Springs, Arkansas, in case you want to know. And today I want to talk about a huge topic that's been going on in our society for a good while, but recently it's been like really hot. And but before I get all into that, please hit the like button, see the subscribe button, and notifications. That helps with my channel out. And so anything I post, you could get or be notified about it. Anyway, the hot topic today is the wonderful topic of abortion. And what I want to talk about today, first of all, let's talk about why am I bringing this up? And simply because a U.S. judge, I live in the United States, so I'm going to what conjures up in my mind is based on American news, because as I carve my stone carvings, I listen to talk radio a lot. And so anyway, a few weeks ago, a certain judge made a note, and just certain notes or whatever, and or just talking, but I believe it was a note, and it was leaked by a certain news agency, and everybody's all up in arms, like that the Supreme Court's gonna ban total abortion, altogether, and I'm here to tell you that's not the case at all. Okay, what's going on is what the judge and others are talking about, that because abortion is not bluntly said in the Constitution, then it is for the 50 individual states to decide what they want to do about the topic. So they can't, so therefore it's not a federal issue. It goes back to the states, and it should have been that way from the get-go. And so some states are more liberal, like California, where you got a high conservative state like Arkansas, where I live, or Oklahoma, that's either passing or about to pass or want to pass about you can't have abortion, period, except for a few exceptions. And so I want to talk about that. And why I want to talk about, because if you watch my channel, it has a lot of religious context. And if you know my background, I was an Orthodox Jew for most of my life. And so I'm going to use the Bible and see what it has to say, if anything at all. Or how we could glean something from other laws and say, okay, this is not allowed, or it is allowed, and so that's when I heard the news. This is why I kind of did this carving right here. This is all solid rock. This is what I do. I chisel it out by hand, if you could see. It's not to sound perverse or naughty, but this is a sperm going to the egg, and about to fertilize the egg, make the egg fertile, I should say. So, and if you know me and watch other videos, Moses, according to the legend, Moses gave the Torah, and then when he wrote it down, they gave it to Aaron and his sons in order for them to teach the people how to practice the law, or the Torah of God. And so, and every year around Sukkot, that is the fall festivals, when they are supposed to read the whole entire law, all of it. And so, plain and clear, it doesn't say the stories, just the law. It means like, 613 commandments, as that's the tradition of how many commandments are in the Torah. So, but in the law itself of Moses, he says that you can add to the law if it meets certain criteria. And so this is what we want to delve in, okay? simply because if something arises that's new or it's never been brought up, because you can't just write every scenario life throws at you and put it in a book. It'll be like forever big. And so, but when you come across it, you have to write it down. So Moses commanded Joshua and all those, and Joshua was supposed to write all the law in Mount Ebal on the altar or near the altar on plaster. And so, someone could say while watching this video, it says you shall not commit murder. Okay, but the thing is, when, the question is, when does life exist or begin? Do you have to go to the point of, like, even after the sperm fertilizes the egg like this, when it becomes viable, like, say, the next day, obviously the child can't live on its own that way. And so, is it allowed at that point to do something? And so we want to talk about these tough questions. And it might sound a little Roman Catholic-esque, if you're not familiar with Jewish teaching and lingo and biblical thought process. And so, anyway, I wrote it down for my notes, but I got it right here, right in front of me, so I could read it to you. But one of the main things is, like, and we'll delve into, like, this picture and, like, sexual affairs and things like that, and maybe American legal stuff, and just put it into the biblical context as if we were in Israel back in the day when there was a theocratic monarchy. Okay, and because the biblical text in the truest form is, the context is during the theocratic days, when either during the time after Saul, when it was a theocratic monarchy, or before that, when it was more of a theocratic confederacy, where you had the 12 tribes joined together as one people. That's the legend, that's the myth. And so anyway, I'm going to paraphrase. I'll put it right here on the screen for you to read. But I'm right from the get-go, I'll just paraphrase it down and read it from the text. But when it talks about abortion, first of all, the word doesn't exist in the biblical text, nor is there any blunt, hardcore law that talks about deeds even without the word. Okay, it just was an unheard of thing to do. I mean, it's just kind of, whoa, say what? You want to kill your own kid, because of convenience or health reasons or rape or incest or this or that, it's just kind of not a conceivable thing to do, So anyway, there's a certain law where, like I said, you could glean stuff, and I want to backtrack. Like I said, Moses gave a certain commandment. If there's things that arise in a future generation, you really don't know anything, like a local judge may not know, he's supposed to go to the main judge of the days, like the supreme judge or the high priest or a prophet, and ask him about it, and they seek the Lord and try to get an answer. And so, therefore, laws can be added. And I'll give you one example. One example is arson. Okay, arson. Nothing of the sort is found in all the Torah. Now, there's something kind of like it, but it's not blunt, malicious. It's accident. Okay, it's like, I used to do farming, and I did this very thing. Okay, at the end of the growing season, or right before the new growing season, I would light the field on fire, get rid of all the chaff, the weeds, and just start over. It's easy to till, because it's all dry. And so the scripture says, if you light your field on fire and it accidentally, I'm putting words in the mouth of the text, if the fire accidentally goes into your neighbor's field and burns up either his crop or his property or whatever, you have to pay. Now, it doesn't go into every scenario, like if the stable burns, any livestock die. It just talks about the grain, it's just so you get the drift, okay? And so, therefore, if, that is by accident. So we know that arson is deliberate. You're not allowed to commit arson. Go set your neighbor's house on fire, his car on fire, or whatever, so that's not allowed to be done. So, in oral law, that's concrete oral law, is you must not commit arson, even though it's not in there. So you have to write that and pass that on as a new law, like oral law. So in Scripture, in Exodus chapter 21, verse 22 through 25, there's a scenario there. Now we're going to talk about abortion and certain things. Now I'm not going to talk about point blank murder, okay? And there's a difference between kill and murder, okay? And some people may not think there is, but kill and murder is a whole different scenario. Murder is taking the life of someone maliciously or illegally, okay? Where killing is based on I can't even say it. Based on your civilization, where you're at in the norms of it. I can't even say that word. Societal norms. And if they break certain laws that are horrific, like murder, kidnapping or this or that, he deserves a death penalty. And so, therefore, you kill that person. So, now getting back to this. So you have to kind of know your definitions of words. So in Exodus 21, verse 22 through 25, there's a certain law there which is kind of unique. And it's just kind of out of the blue to a certain degree. And it says, if a man is quarreling, fighting with another man, and the wife comes out and helps, yet the wife is pregnant, and the one enemy guy or the opposing party strikes the pregnant girl, it says, I'm paraphrasing, it says, if she goes into premature labor, if the child comes out fine, normal fine, there will be a penalty put on the guy who struck her, and he has to pay that fee or penalty. And however, if evil happens to the child, well, you shall take life for life. So if the child dies, because of being struck, kicked, hit, whatever, pushed on the ground, whatever the case is, and if the child dies after she goes into premature labor, then you shall take his life. You shall die because of that. And it also says, or if he has a broken bone, like a broken arm or something, then you should break his arm. If he has a certain wound, the child that is, has a certain wound, then you shall put the wound on him, or on the culprit. And so, but there it says, you shall take life for life. And this is by men fighting. So, how much worse is it when your motive is to point blank strike a child for no reason, and so, and it has, regardless of whatever, regardless if it's I feel bad for women who've been, this is going to be controversial, who've been raped or been molested, or there's been incest or whatever, through temptation or just being drunk, like a daughter might be asleep and dad or brother just has incest or whatever, and so she becomes pregnant. All these cases, there's not one reason to have an abortion, okay? And nowadays, if it's based on health, you could have a C-section, you could, when it comes due, this way, there's a way to get around, from going through the vaginal canal, okay? But, so, it's a pretty easy topic to talk about, but you cannot commit abortion over no circumstance, not for health reasons, because the child's going to be retarded, or, because all this science, these these medical devices could help you see how the baby is inside the womb, if he's healthy or not healthy, or Down syndrome or whatever, whatever the case is, you are not allowed to touch that child. Things have to take their normal course. And, granted, yes, the Bible doesn't really like it, but you could also give your child away for adoption if you don't want to have a child. Either you're too young, you're immature, you had an accident, you're just playing around sexually, you're not being mature enough, and you got yourself pregnant, or you got a girl pregnant. You could always give them up through adoption. You have to go through the full term, either have a C-section or have a normal birth, and give the child away to the loving family. But you cannot hurt that child because of your convenience, or whatever reason. So I like organic and natural and stuff like that. So if the woman wants to be unorganic and take certain medicine to make herself so toxic, inside, that when the sperm touches that egg, it just dies. It's like a spermicide almost, because she doesn't want to either have the guy wear condoms, or him. I can just be point blank. Might be sounding nasty, but you just gotta have frank talk. If he doesn't want to pull out or whatever, or wear a condom, the other option is birth control, and so you make your body so toxic that the egg cannot get fertilized, or just dies on the spot because it's so tainted. And so, now granted, I'm speaking of ignorance, I'm not a scientist, but since I'm giving you the umph of stuff. And so abortion is no way allowed at all, period. And if you want to, it has nothing even to do with God, but I mean, if you want to throw God in the picture, God doesn't allow that at all, and no society should allow that, because regardless if you've been raped, horrifically raped, bad, but still, and you might hate the guy, I get all that, not really I get it, I'm not the girl, I'm not a victim, and so, but there's no reason for you to torture that kid simply because of what that guy did, okay? You could, like I said, you could give him up for adoption, or you might just fall in love, have a little forgiveness, or, try to, if you could overcome that emotional damage, much prayers and friends are needed. But now let me just read all this. I gotta get my glasses on, and let me read Exodus 21, verse 22 through 25 real quick, okay? 21, 22 through 25. Let's see here. It says, "And if men strive together and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart, and yet no harm follow, he shall surely be fined, according as the woman's husband shall lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. But if any harm follow, then thou shalt give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe." So there you have it. And so that basically, when you strike a pregnant woman, you make her go into premature labor, and the child dies as a result, that's murder, and so you are guilty of a capital offense. So according to this law, if a woman does a self-act of abortion like they did before 1973, sometimes, out of desperate measures, that is a capital offense, regardless of what liberals might say, my choice, my body, my choice. No, because that is now a new person, And now you are taking matters into your own hand, and you know full well what that is because you are trying to strike it down. So before it becomes out of the womb and you get responsibilities and over raising that child. And so therefore it's a capital offense to her, or if a doctor does it, it's a capital offense for him. That is according to the biblical standard. Now, whatever state wants to decide, or whatever country wants to decide, that's them and their liberal ways. But if you wanted to talk the biblical text, point blank, that's what it says. Okay, and that's what it teaches. Life, always protect life. Okay, and there you have it. So that's all I got to say about this topic. It doesn't take that long. So if you have any questions whatsoever, leave a comment. Or if you want to say, I hate you, blah, 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 that's fine. Say that too. But hit that subscribe button, and thank you for supporting the channel. And hit the notification, like, or whatever, and or dislike. But thank you for watching, and I appreciate you.